Well, hi. Okay, here we are. I'm doing this Facebook Live thing. I've never done it before, so I'm giving it my best shot. All right. So today I'm going to be making the zucchini lasagna recipe, of which I have a picture from our app. Mine might not look exactly like that. I'm just saying. Oh, and regarding, all of your comments and stuff, if that happens, I'll do my best again. All right, so first things first, I'm Barb Christensen. I'm an enthusiast of many things, and one of them is cooking. And I love to teach people, and I love to cook for people, and I love cooking healthy recipes for myself and others. And I've learned so much. So this is one of my favorites and also my husband's favorites, so it's pretty good. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pretend as if I'm teaching you something. I'm hoping I can. And I'm going to say this, when you get a recipe out or look at a recipe on your app, you want to get everything gathered and everything prepared like the recipe says before you get ready to make the recipe, if you know what I mean. In French, it's called mise en place, and it means to put everything in place. The reason it's important to do that is because otherwise, you're looking at the recipe, you're going to grab the thing, and then you're coming back and you're cutting the thing up. And then you're looking at the recipe, it's just not necessary. So that's my first, tip, and that's what I've done. And I've already done all of that. However, because I'm me, I want to teach you a couple things about what we're cooking. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell you the ingredients all together. I'm just gonna read them. I printed it for myself. So, oh, wait, I gotta say, I'm making a single portion, and the reason I'm making a single portion is because I love Italian food and all of that, and I am killing it on this program that I'm on, and I'm not willing to tempt myself with a large thing of lasagna because I just want to eat my one portion. The really cool part is it's a much bigger portion than what lasagna portions were in the past. I'm just saying. Okay, so we have 4 ounces of zucchini weighed, 3 ounces of fresh tomatoes, sliced 1/8 inch thick, that's a thing, 5 ounces of lean ground beef, 3/4 of an ounce of light cream cheese, 1/4 teaspoon of salt divided, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 cup of whole basil leaves, that would be fresh basil leaves, and then 1/4 cup of shredded reduced fat mozzarella. All right, so now we begin. With the zucchini, some people are intimidated by cutting the long slices of zucchini to make the noodles, or otherwise known as zoodles. And I'm gonna show you a couple ways. I'm also gonna say the recipe says you could use a mandolin if you have one, or a knife. Well, because it mentions mandolin first, I have a mandolin. This is a mandolin. This is like OXO brand from Amazon. And it's really cool to have a mandolin because it keeps everything exactly the same size, but it's not so easy to use. But I'm gonna show you. So because it's rounded, the zucchini, in order to get this through the mandolin, you have to get off the rounded parts. So let me make sure you can see. I can't see, but maybe you can see. Okay, mandolin down, press in, and we're gonna start going down, down, down. All right, so here's what we end up with, are these little pieces that you save for a different recipe. But now we still aren't there, so we have to turn it upside down and do it again. Down, down. Okay, they're getting longer. All right, now this part, we want the nice long noodle. You have to hold it up off the board because otherwise the zucchini hits the board and you can't get the long noodle. So we push in and go down, and No, we still didn't get it. All right, trying again. This is real life cooking, that's what I always say. All right, so now we have this, which is definitely not 1/4 of an inch thick, right? That would mean you could have more layers of this. But for me, because I liked my pasta al dente or to the tooth, I want my zoodles to be also a little bit stiffer. So I'm going to use a knife. I'm not going to use the mandolin. Done. All right. So here we go. We have the zucchini, which I cut a little bit here already. And I want to say this. If you have a bread knife, otherwise known as a serrated knife, a big long one, that would be your very best friend for cutting the zucchini. And I'm going to try to show you. Here we go. All right. And oh, and I want to say this. Serrated knives are like a saw, so you move the knife back and forth, and you don't have to push. Just saw through. Okay. Well, we got something. All right. If you don't have one of those, and I prefer this knife, oh, the knife talk. So you all know knives are shaped with most with a point and a rounded edge and a flat part. That's so that you can effectively cut. And what I mean by that is you don't have to lift and chop and cut, 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 cut. You simply put the point on the cutting board, which I'm going to do. I'm putting it through the tip of the zucchini, point on the cutting board, and you're going to rock the knife down through, and then you're going to slide it towards yourself and rock, slide, rock. I call it rock and roll. Okay, anyway, bottom line is then you have a nice 1/4 inch-ish slice. All right, so that's just the first part of our recipe. What it says to do with that zucchini is to preheat the oven to 425, put the zucchini on a cookie sheet or baking sheet with foil or parchment with a little bit of cooking spray, and put it in there and let it cook. I think the recipe said for a ½ hour, but I'm just saying set the timer for 20 minutes, check it, and if it just looks like it's dehydrated a little, that's all you're trying to do. If you forget to bake it, here's the deal. You put your lasagna together, you bake it, and there's some water in it. And you tip it over into the sink and pour the water off. Yay. Okay, let's see if I can read some of these comments. I'm not sure that I can. Yeah, I just see people are watching. Well, that's good because it's going to be hard for me to answer questions, I suppose, till the end if they're already. All right, so we've got our lasagna, not our lasagna, our zucchini baked. And that looks like this, okay? Now here's the important part. Remember, we are having 4 ounces for our portion. 4 ounces of the not baked zucchini was 4 1/4 inch size pieces. 4 ounces after you bake it is 6 pieces. Yay, we love that. Okay, moving on. So now we have the tomatoes, 3 ounces of fresh tomatoes. Well, I've weighed a 3-ounce tomato, and it's this average size tomato, but you would weigh it. And once again, it says to cut it 1/8 of an inch thick. That's very small. Those of you who know this know that it's really hard to cut a tomato at all if you don't have a sharp knife. But once again, your best friend is this serrated knife, or if you don't have one, a steak knife. And watch, hopefully you can see this. I can just set this little steak knife here and saw, and voila, that's as close to 1/8 of an inch I can get. Anyway, I have prepared those tomatoes fully and ready to roll. I think. I'm just going to cut a couple more just in case. But our next thing, so 5 ounces of lean ground beef. So I have our beef, and our 5 ounces of beef looks like this. And why am I showing it to you like this? Because it looks sort of like a hamburger, and it would be a thick hamburger. All right, that's going in a bowl. Okay, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna breathe, and I'm gonna have a sip. And I'm going to calm down. All right, the next ingredients is that 3/4 ounce of cream cheese. And I personally like cream cheese, and I buy this Neufchâtel, I really don't know how you say it, but it's a third less fat. And the really cool part about measuring cream cheese is there's little lines on the foil that are each 1 ounce. So we get 3/4 ounce, and instead of unwrapping it, which is a problem sometimes, anyway, you just use this little knife again, you line it up, and you cut right through the foil, and you end up with your 3/4 ounce of cream cheese. Done. All right, back to our recipe. So we're gonna be mixing the cream cheese with the beef. The beef is cold, the cream cheese is cold, unless of course you put the cream cheese in a little bowl, put it in the microwave on defrost for like 40 seconds, and then it gets all soft, and then you can mix it with the beef. So that's a really good thing to remember. Otherwise, it's really good exercise. You just gotta really get in there. Okay, the next, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right, and it says divided. I'm just gonna say this, I don't wanna confuse you, but if you're only making a single portion of something and it's a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/8 of a teaspoon of something, it's a very, very small amount. I think, okay, where would that salt be best served? And in this case, it's in with the meat. The reason they had the recipe divided that way is because for the larger portions of zucchini, you're gonna sprinkle salt over the zucchini before you bake it. The only purpose of baking the zucchini is to get the water to go away. It doesn't have to have salt to do that. So I gotta tell you about salt now. Here's the deal. Kosher salt, which is what I use, has larger grains, right? Rather than table salt. And because it has larger grains, less of it fits in any spoon. Therefore it weighs less, which also means it has less sodium. You can Google it, but it really does. But I enjoy it because I feel like I can control it better. So 1/4 teaspoon. In, that's heaping. So I just tap, 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 tap. Now it's level. It's going in the meat and cheese. All right. Okay, now we've got our 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. So once again, don't want to be confusing. You can do your 1/8 of a teaspoon black pepper, or this recipe says that it has 1 lean protein, 3 greens, 1 healthy fat, and 2 condiments. And I know that on my program, I can have 3 condiments. And why is that important? Well, because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping myself off of a condiment, right? So, also because this is Italian lasagna, pepper just doesn't do it for me. So I get out my guidebook. You're not going to be able to read this, but I've got things circled. I get out my guidebook and I can see that I could trade my pepper for 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Well, that would mean I could have that, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not doing the pepper, I'm just doing the garlic. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to smash the garlic with our knife flat, moving the other knife. All right, and here's what happens. All of the peeling just falls away when you smash it. That's easy. Or you can use the kind in a jar, whatever. But chopping, rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll. We're not lifting the knife, turning it sideways, rock, 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 And that's it. And here's the deal. I know, because I've done it so many times, that 1 clove of garlic is a teaspoon. But I'm going to prove it to you by putting it in there. And there you have it. That's going in the meat. That's where all the flavor is in that meat. Okay, now we've done that. Now we are ready to mix the meat. And we're gonna do that just by pressing, pulling with a fork, press and pull till you get it nicely mixed. And it takes a little bit because it is cream cheese and hamburger. I mean, you know. So I could have done this ahead of time, I realized, but if I did, then you wouldn't get to see the cool garlic trick, right? All right, almost. Hang in there, real life cooking. Okay, looks good. All right, the next thing down on our list is 1/4 cup of whole basil leaves that I mentioned. So remember, if I was to try to use a 1/4 cup of basil leaves, that would be easy and it would be like this much. But because we're weighing our food, instead, 2 ounces of basil is this much. And I have to tell you, I buy basil plants because then I want them to grow. And let's see, oh, here it is. This is what's left of it after I picked all of that off. So if you're making a larger portion of lasagna and you're using fresh basil, you need more than 1 plant. I'm just saying. Okay, now what do we have? Okay, now we're ready to assemble. And I chose to use just this little tin, small little pan. And I have 3 of our zucchinis in there. And now I'm going to try to show you how to spread the mixture. And you're really kind of not spreading per se, and you're going to have to use your fingers a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to put half of the beef down first because we're only going to have 2 layers of lasagna to use. But we're going to use our tomatoes as the other layer. Right now, I'm spreading the meat into the pan on top of the lasagna. All right, there, you can kind of see. Okay, now I'm gonna put the tomatoes. Oh, important, the cheese. So in the recipe, we get a 1/4 cup of reduced fat mozzarella. Got it, right here. So a 1/4 cup weighed looks like this, right? A 1/4 cup measured is only this. And this is part of this, so we get this. So always weigh, because then you get more. A good mentor of mine told me that, and it changed my whole experience. The recipe says that we're gonna put all of that mozzarella cheese on top. And I prepared 1 lasagna that I did that way to show you. But when you use low moisture cheeses, they can't hold up in the oven, open oven air. They just crisp up and brown up, and they're not ooey and gooey unless you cover them under things. So I've modified this by doing that. So I've got my zucchini down, my beef down. Now I'm gonna use half-ish of the mozzarella. Okay, now I'm gonna put down the tomatoes. They're kind of gonna be a layer of noodles, if you will. Tomatoes going down. And now I'm gonna put the other 3 baked zucchini on top. And then we're going with the other layer of beef. Where's my fork? Here's my fork. All right. Okay, beef is going down. Give me a moment to spread it out. I kind of am enjoying this, but I kind of also am pretty keyed up and nervous about it. So what I do know for sure is it tastes really good, and I already made it so that you'll be able to see what it's like when it's cooked. Okay, so we've got the beef down. Now, more cheese. So now we've got cheese on top of our lasagna and beef, and we've got cheese underneath. And I'm just saying that's gonna be a better eating experience if you ask me. Oh, and guess what? We've got to put our basil in there. You know, see, this is the thing. I get busy, so that's easy. I'm just lifting up the lasagna, the zucchini, putting some basil down, putting it back on. It's all good. All right, here we go. Okay, now I have to move away so I can grab my finished products to show you. Hang on one second. Find my mitts. We're getting there. All right. So here is our one portion. Now I will tell you, it's been warming in the oven a while, so the zucchini has shrunk a little more, but that's one portion. So all for me or all for you. That's kind of a lot, I think. Anyway, and then just because I wanted to show you about the cheese, so yesterday I made a 4-portion lasagna and I put all of the cheese on top. And you can see it's kind of crispy, which is fine too, but I kind of like the ooey gooey cheese thing if I'm gonna have cheese. All right, now I think I can actually read something and see what's going on. Maybe. I've got some good watchers. Okay. I don't think I have questions, which is perfectly great. I think that's it. I think it's a wrap. I don't know, but I think that's it. I just don't know how to stop it. I'm going to try.